Of Dolton is more than $3.5 million in the hole. Mayor Tiffany Henyard is accused of misusing money, and today she's nowhere to be found.
I handle anything as relates to with credit cards. As you heard me speak today in my board meeting about, I do not handle that.
Some of those charges are for you, though.
No, sir.
You didn't go to Las Vegas? What is that?
No comment.
You don't know if you were in Las Vegas?
Of course I do.
Did you fly first class to Las Vegas?
Any other questions?
You're not going to answer how taxpayer dollars are being spent? That seems odd.
I just answered it. What do you mean? I just answered your questions.
You said you wouldn't answer.
She once crowned herself the super mayor. But now, the only title people are giving Tiffany Henyard is missing. In an astonishing turn of events that has sent shockwaves through the entire town, the mayor of Dolton, a small village just outside Chicago, is nowhere to be found. And no, this isn't some publicity stunt or a social media hoax. She's disappeared at the very moment her financial empire, fueled by public funds and rife with alleged corruption, is crumbling into chaos. Imagine waking up to a town that's $3.5 million in the hole, only to discover that the person responsible for this fiscal mess has vanished without a trace. Federal investigators have been closing in on Henyard for months, but now the storm has finally arrived. Reports have surfaced that the FBI has secured crucial evidence, the kind that doesn't just hint at wrongdoing, it points directly to potential criminal abuse of taxpayer dollars. But that's not even the most shocking part. Her most loyal confidant, Deputy Police Chief Louis Lacey, is now facing federal charges as well. Bankruptcy, fraud, hiding assets, things just got a whole lot darker. Some believe this is all part of a calculated pressure tactic. Squeeze Lacey until he cracks and turns on Henyard. But here's the million-dollar question. Will he flip?
Keith Freeman do not work here, he's fired. So stop playing these silly games with Board of Trustees and putting people's lives in jeopardy.
Do what you want. But anything after this is insubordination.
I'm gonna remember this, because at the end of the day, I told you, you guys don't run the day to day.
It all began with a late-night political move no one saw coming. The township board, fractured and in disarray, couldn't come to a consensus on who should replace the late Mayor Frank Zuccarelli. In a last-minute, almost absurd twist, Tiffany's name was suddenly thrown into the mix, literally moments before midnight. She was sworn in on a technicality, a last-second Hail Mary to bypass a public vote, and for most in the room, her nomination felt like it came out of nowhere, but it wasn't random. Tiffany had been positioning herself for that seat long before her name was ever mentioned. Once she secured it, she wasted no time, immediately purging longtime employees and consolidating power. Allies of the former mayor were out of a job, and anyone who dared to challenge her was swiftly silenced. Was this personal or calculated? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. One of her boldest and earliest moves was firing Jessica Jones. Even the person who nominated Tiffany supported the dismissal. But the real clash came with Stephanie Weidman, a well-respected township veteran. Tiffany stripped her of duties, accusing her of not being a team player. A team, by the way, that resembled a loyalist circle more than any true governing body. When it came to Township Assessor Cassandra Stone, Tiffany didn't just fire her. She allegedly locked her out of her office, threw confidential documents in a public hallway, and left Social Security numbers and private records exposed for anyone to see. Who does that? By March, lawsuits started to flood in like overdue bills. Former employees accused Henyard of everything from retaliation to discrimination to outright abuse of power. One woman, Sandra Tracy, was demoted, denied access to her office, and forced to work out of her car while recovering from surgery and caring for a sick husband. The stress led to a heart attack. Yes, a heart attack. Another worker, Karen Johnson, claimed she was fired for simply reading news about the mayor on her work computer. And Samisha Williams, a former trustee candidate, alleged that she was ordered to block public permits unless residents contributed to Tiffany's campaign. When she refused, she was sent a police-issued termination letter delivered to her home. No explanation. Is that retaliation or what? As internal chaos mounted, the financial web grew even more tangled. Tiffany's administration faced not one, but two federal subpoenas, each targeting a different arm of her growing empire. One delved into her businesses, her restaurant, real estate firm, political PAC, and even a charity under her name. The other subpoena demanded access to township finances, budgets, and credit card statements, and what investigators uncovered next was jaw-dropping. In just 1 year, Tiffany and her associates racked up over $122,000 in travel expenses, all covered by the taxpayer she vowed to serve. First-class flights, luxury hotels, gourmet dinners, it was billed as business. But records showed a staggering $226,000 spent on a single Las Vegas trip. This wasn't a retreat, it was a party on public funds, and the spending didn't end there. $99,000 at the Four Seasons in Atlanta, $133,000 at the Marriott Marquis in New York. Meanwhile, the village prosecutor was making nearly $1 million salary. Who approves these expenses? And more importantly, who stands to gain? The answer critics believe is clear: Tiffany and her inner circle. Friends were allegedly placed in key positions, salaries were padded, and licenses were denied to outsiders, while allies got a free pass. It looked more like a loyalty for cash scheme than a legitimate government. And through it all, Tiffany smiled, calling herself the super mayor. But the cracks started to show. When former Chicago mayor and federal prosecutor Lori Lightfoot was brought in to investigate Henyard's finances, the results were damning. The town was drowning in debt, over $3.5 million missing. Trustees hadn't seen a bank statement in months. And then, the real shocker, $40,000 spent on Amazon in a single day, with no receipts to show for it. Let that sink in. $40,000 on Amazon in 1 day. At the same time, 2 officers were reportedly raking in 6 figures in overtime, including Deputy Chief Lacey. Yes, the same Lacey now facing federal charges. In 1 year alone, he pocketed $96,000 in overtime. And yet somehow Dolton couldn't cover its basic expenses. So where is Mayor Henyard now? Gone. No press conferences, no statements, no appearances, just silence. It's as if she vanished the moment those receipts came to light. Coincidence? You be the judge? Some say she's hiding, waiting for the storm to pass. Others think she knows what's coming and is bracing herself for the inevitable. The subpoenas, lawsuits, and federal investigations all point in one direction: a reckoning. The pressure is mounting. Will Deputy Chief Lacey flip and spill everything he knows? Will the lawsuits finally expose the full extent of the corruption within Henyard's administration? Or is this just the start of an even deeper scandal no one saw coming? One commenter put it best. She thought the keys to the kingdom were hers to do with as she pleased, but those keys belong to the people. What do you think? Is Tiffany Henyard a victim of political warfare? She once called herself the super mayor. But today, all anyone is saying about Tiffany Henyard is that she's gone, missing. In a shocking turn that has left the town of Dolton, just outside of Chicago, in total chaos, their mayor has disappeared. And no, this isn't some staged drama or social media stunt. She's actually gone, vanished, at the exact moment her empire, built on public funds and shady deals, is crumbling. Picture this: waking up in a town more than $3.5 million in debt, and the person who's responsible for that budget is nowhere to be found. Federal authorities have been circling Tiffany for months, but now the storm has finally hit. New reports reveal that the FBI has obtained crucial evidence that could be the final blow to her political career. Evidence that points to not just bad decisions, but criminal misuse of taxpayer money. But it doesn't end there. Her most trusted ally, Deputy Police Chief Louis Lacey, is facing federal charges as well: bankruptcies, fraud, and allegedly hiding assets. Some believe this is all part of a game, a pressure tactic to get Lacey to flip on Henyard. The million-dollar question is, will he? This story began with a late-night political move no one saw coming. The township board, fractured and disjointed, couldn't agree on who should replace the late mayor Frank Zuccarelli. But just minutes before midnight, Tiffany's name was pushed forward. She was sworn in on a technicality, a last-minute power grab to avoid letting the public vote. For most people in that room, her rise seemed out of nowhere. But was it? Tiffany had been playing her cards long before anyone knew her name was in the running. And once she had the job, she wasted no time consolidating power, booting out longtime employees and tightening her grip on the town's future. Her enemies? Gone. Her allies? Placed in power. Anyone who dared challenge her? Silenced. Was this personal or just part of the plan? Drop your thoughts in the comments. One of her first bold moves was the firing of Jessica Jones. Even the man who nominated her for mayor backed the decision. But things got even worse with Stephanie Weidman, a respected township veteran. Tiffany stripped her of responsibilities, accusing her of not being a team player, a team, by the way, that resembled a private circle of loyalty more than a functioning government. And when it came to Cassandra Stone, the township assessor, Tiffany didn't just fire her. No, she locked her out of her office, dumped confidential records into a public hallway, and left Social Security numbers exposed for anyone to see. Who does that? By March, the lawsuits were coming in fast. Former staffers accused Henyard of retaliation, discrimination, and even abuse of power. One woman, Sandra Tracy, was demoted and forced to work out of her car while recovering from surgery and caring for a sick husband. The stress? It led to a heart attack. Yes, a heart attack. Another employee, Karen Johnson, was fired just for reading news about the mayor on her work computer. And Samisha Williams, a former trustee candidate, claims she was ordered to block public permits unless residents donated to Tiffany's campaign. When she refused, she got fired by a police letter delivered right to her door. No explanation. If that's not retaliation, I don't know what is. And as the internal chaos continued, the financial web became even messier. Tiffany's administration faced not one, but two federal subpoenas, each investigating a different part of her empire. One focused on her businesses, a restaurant, a real estate firm, a political PAC, and even a charity with her name on it. The other subpoena demanded records of the township's finances, budgets, and credit card purchases. And here's the shocking part. What investigators found next was mind-blowing. In just 1 year, Tiffany and her inner circle blew through over $122,000 in travel expenses, all paid for by the taxpayer she swore to serve. First-class flights, 5-star hotels, and lavish dinners, all business according to her. But one trip to Las Vegas alone cost a whopping $226,000. That's not a retreat. That's a party funded by the public. And it didn't stop there. $99,000 at the Four Seasons in Atlanta, $133,000 at the Marriott Marquis in New York. And the village prosecutor? Earning nearly $1 million salary. Who's signing off on this stuff? And more importantly, who's benefiting? Critics say the answer is simple: Tiffany and her inner circle. Friends were allegedly hired to key positions, salaries were padded, and permits were denied to outsiders while her allies got free passes. It seemed more like organized favoritism than a legitimate government. And all the while, Tiffany kept smiling. She called herself the super mayor, but the cracks kept spreading. When former Chicago mayor and federal prosecutor Lori Lightfoot was hired to investigate Henyard's financial dealings, the results were nothing short of catastrophic. The town was drowning in debt, over $3.5 million gone. Trustees hadn't seen a bank statement in months. And get this, $40,000 spent on Amazon in a single day with no receipts to back it up. Let that sink in. $40,000 on Amazon in just one day. Meanwhile, 2 officers, including Deputy Chief Lacey, earned 6 figures in overtime. Yes, the same Lacey now facing federal charges. 1 year, $96,000 in overtime. And yet, somehow, Dolton is struggling to cover its basic expenses. So, where is Mayor Henyard now? Gone. No press conferences, no statements, no appearances, just silence. It's almost as if she disappeared the second those receipts came to light. Coincidence? You decide. Some say she's hiding, hoping the media storm will blow over. Others believe she's bracing for the inevitable fallout. The subpoenas, the lawsuits, and the federal probes all point to one thing: a reckoning. And the pressure is building. Will Deputy Chief Lacey crack and spill everything he knows? Will the lawsuits finally expose the corrupt network inside Henyard's administration? Or is this just the beginning of a much deeper scandal that no one saw coming? One commenter summed it up perfectly. She thought the keys to the kingdom were hers to do with as she pleased, but those keys belong to the people. What do you think? Is Tiffany Henyard a victim of political warfare or the architect of her own downfall? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want to stay ahead of this story, because trust me, this isn't over yet, make sure to like, subscribe, and check out our other videos. We're keeping the spotlight on, and we won't look away until the truth comes out. Because every empire built on secrets eventually crumbles, and some falls. You can hear them from miles away.